The best analogy that'll help you understand how to make money when you are young is understanding pimps versus hoes. Pimps obviously being the ones who are the bosses, who make the actual fucking money. Hoes being the ones who work for them and make them all the money, but only getting a small percentage of what they make for the other person. And I say this as an 18-year-old who last month, my company made $750,000 at a 60% profit margin. But it wasn't always this way. I grew up in a family of engineers. My entire family, they're all electrical engineers. They went to college, have masters, PhDs. They're at the top of the educational ladder. And so I've seen both sides of the equation and how they work. The first step is understanding how this analogy actually works. Why do hoes stay with pimps? Fundamentally, it's because pimps have something that they can offer. Whether it's connection, whether it's protection, whether it's them not having to worry about accounting and taxes or any of this shit because they handle all of it and they're in charge of them. And so a pimp needs to have some unique kind of skill set that makes it worth it for the hoe to work for them, even though they're only getting a percentage of the work that they're actually doing. So if you apply this into business now, you have to understand that any business owner needs to have some unique thing that they can do that these hoes cannot do. Now let's break this up into two domains. Number one, they can have skills that the hoes do not have, or number two, they can have mentality that the hoes do not have. So let's start with mentality because this is really the biggest differentiator. Ultimately, what it comes down to is the person's ability to take risk. It does not matter what the mentality advantage is. It could be working hard. It could be working 16 hours a day. What does that ultimately come down to? Risk. Because any employee, any hoe, if they had 100% guarantee that they could work 12 hours a day as an example and make millions of dollars, they would do it. Why do they not? Because it's not guaranteed. They could work 12 hours a day and still make no fucking money. And so since there's no guarantee, they're not willing to take the risk. So ultimately what the pimp, the entrepreneur needs to have is an ability to tolerate risk that nobody else has. So then the question becomes, how do you develop risk tolerance? Now, this is a very, very interesting question because it makes you understand psychology and how the brain actually works. And if you understand this one thing I'm about to cover, you can not only change your own brain, but you can change anybody else's brain, manipulate them for anything that you possibly want. The brain is extremely moldable. You have situations and responses. This is how you train dogs. This is how you train any animal, any species, anything. Situation, response. A situation could be you have somebody with a gun to your head robbing you. The response is, do you give them all your shit? Do you fight back? Do you run? Do you scream for help? What is the response? And then based on whatever happens after you respond in that way, you learn to either keep doing that or change it. For example, if you try running and the guy shoots you in your leg, but you survive, next time if you get held at gunpoint again, what do you think you're gonna do? You ain't gonna fucking run because you got shot last time. You're gonna be like, oh my God, here's all my stuff. You're gonna give him all your shit immediately. Why? Because you have learned a certain way of acting. The same thing applies to risk. If anytime you have a decision where you can take a risk or not take a risk, but you consciously make the decision, I will take this risk even though it is scary, most of the time it's gonna work out. And so the more times you take that risk and it works out, the more your brain starts to learn, I am a risk taker. And it becomes a part of who you are. You don't have to think about it anymore. It is your identity. You never have to think. It is your default setting. But the second part is even after you take the risk, you have to make sure it works. So what determines that? Skill sets. This is the second difference between a hoe and a pimp. Now, this is where people don't understand. Everybody has skills. It's not about having skills. It's about having the right skills. Now, the best two skills to learn are sales and marketing. And I'm gonna show you the best way to learn them in a second. But you have to understand why. Sales and marketing are not taught in school, which means immediately the level of competition you have learning those skills is virtually zero to if you tried learning engineering or math or any of these other things that are vastly taught in school, where you immediately graduate with millions and tens and hundreds of millions of competitors. The second reason why is because of the size of the market. If you research statistics, 1 in every 14 employed people in the United States of America are in sales. That means it is $1 trillion and trillion and trillion of dollars worth of industry. The same with marketing. So if you have an industry that big with so few people in it who are actually educated, if you can become educated in that industry, you get a massive part of that pie, which means you make a lot more money. So then the question from there goes, how do you actually master these skills in a simple way? And obviously, if you want to learn much more in depth, obviously sales is how I got to the point of being the #1 sales rep in a $40 million a year company when I was 17 years old after running away from home. It's also how last month I made $750,000 at 18 years old. So you can go to my YouTube channel and see a lot more content on how to actually improve at it. But sales and marketing both ultimately come down to psychology. So I'm gonna give you guys a couple of psychology lessons that you need to carry with you the rest of your life if you're young trying to become successful, no matter what you do. Number one, aligning what you want with what somebody else wants. I'm gonna give you a business example and a personal example. If you want to go to the beach with a friend and you know that that friend loves exercise, if you go to him and you're like, yo, let's go to the beach. You might be busy, you might say no, but if you tell him, yo, let's go to the beach and let's hit a workout at the beginning, like let's go for a little run or something, then after we can just chill there. I have aligned what he wants with what I want. Therefore, he will want to do it. This is the key line behind all negotiation, anything else. It's making both parties feel like they win. Second example, business example. If I have an employee in marketing and they come to me and they're like, yo, I really want to do marketing. Like, I love this. I'm going to learn a lot, blah, blah. I'm going to get great results for you. Then I want to go start my own business. A lot of people would go like, oh my God, this is terrible. I need to hire a guy who wants to stay with me forever. But no, not at all. If you have a guy who has the ambition to want to go do his own thing down the line, that means he's dedicated. He's hardworking. He wants to take on responsibility. So what I have to do as a business owner is create a plan for them of, great, this is where you're at now. These are the skills you need to learn. These are the results I need. Then I can help you start your business. I'll give you clients. I'll do whatever I have to do. It does not matter. Why? Because then both people win. So you have to align what you want with what other people want in order for both parties to win and to be able to persuade and succeed at the highest level possible. And the number 2 most important principle in psychology is punishing bad behavior. It's the second side of how you train anybody or any species. You have a positive reward for good behavior and a negative reward for bad behavior. So again, I'll give you a personal example and a business example. If you're one of the kids, as an example, who gets made fun of at school, or you just let people run over you as an example, whenever people try to do that, you have to make them feel awkward or bad for it. Because then they learn making fun of you equals feeling awkward, therefore I don't want to do it anymore. As an example, and this will be a weird example, if somebody keeps making fun of you at school or whatever, and they're always talking about you and this and this and that, you just be like, bro, why do you keep talking about me? Are you like gay for me or something? I don't understand. Because that publicly embarrasses them in front of everybody else that you were around, and it makes them feel like shit, so they don't want to do it anymore. That's all it is. A negative response to a negative situation they did to you will teach them to not do that thing anymore. Now, how do you use that in business? Let's say if I'm on a sales call, you can also use this to change how people respond to you. If somebody's telling me, oh man, I don't know, like we're already doing great, we're already doing $1 million a month, everything's going perfect, that person's never gonna buy. But if I go, $1 million a week, man, Jesus, that's amazing. And then he corrects me, no, $1 million a month. Okay, it's no problem. We all start somewhere, you know what I mean? But I guess for you, and then I go into a question, now because he was so proud and egotistical, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing $1 million a month, and I just put him in his place, oh, $1 million a week. Now he's like, oh shit, I must be like the small dog. Like, I guess I don't deserve to have an ego. And now he feels like shit, therefore he's gonna stop trying to give me ego on that call. So again, the 2 principles, good behavior, reward it. Align yourself with good behavior. Bad behavior, punish it, they don't do it again. That is the key to everything. Have a blessed rest of your day.